Okay, today's video is about could a single Space Marine chapter with the help of their Primarch conquer Earth. This video shall be split in two parts. First part being a much more realistic scenario about a chapter fleet stumbling upon Earth and trying to conquer it with as minimal force possible as to preserve technology and manufacturing sites. And the second part being about a full-scale ground invasion. For the first part we shall be using significantly weaker Astartes as shown in the newer war, and for the second part we shall be utilizing the old war demigod marines. So let's just jump in. But before we do, more than 95% of you who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy this one, remember to click the like and subscribe button. Okay, enough shilling. As I said, for the first scenario, Astartes shall have their own chapter fleet consisting of a singular battle barge with a couple of escort ships, alongside 1000 space marines with their Primarch of course, and a couple million voidsmen. And again, as I stated previously, their job is to take over Earth with minimal infrastructure damage. So let's power scale everything that they have at their disposal, starting with Space Marines. And remember, we are talking about Space Marines as they are portrayed in the newer war, like Horus Heresy, Siege of Terra, Psychic Awakening, and so on. I'll be brief, but if you want a more detailed explanation why their power scaling doesn't make any fucking sense, feel free to watch this video. Okay, their max lifting strength is 5 tons out of power armor and 10 tons in the power armor. Their speed is 100 km per hour or 70 miles per hour for burger people. Reaction time should be in the same ballpark as the speed, if not slightly slower. The armor penetration of both guns is roughly at 150 mm at 500 meters. And Space Marine armor has an effective armor rating anywhere from 100 to 175 mm depending on the area. Chest and shoulders of course being on the higher end, and arms and legs on the lower end of the estimate. When it comes to battle barge, it has several void shields, which would be next to impossible for earthly militaries to break through, whilst also being able to provide orbital bombardment in case of ground invasion. In saying this, battle barge is not invincible and it can be taken down, it's just that it's gonna require a lot of time, effort and coordination on behalf of the United Nations of Earth to pull it off. Next is the Primarch, and this is one thing in 40k that makes almost no fucking sense. It's stated in the lore that although Primarchs are not all the same and there are clearly some who are better than others, that all of them can basically fight each other and give a semi-good performance. And I'm here to tell you that that is complete and utter bullshit. Remember that one time Sharakin tried to kill Fulgrim? Well, yeah, he was trying to do that with a high-power sniper rifle, and he managed to score a hit on Fulgrim. The only reason Fulgrim survived is because he was, and I don't mean this as a joke, thick-headed. I guess he must have been thinking about hot, thick Latinas whilst Perturabo was giving the speech. I mean, it does fit his character and his Gunnar arc. Anyway, that's besides the point. The sniper rifle being a slug and all was at best, and I do mean at best, going at hypersonic speed of roughly 6000 km per hour, which should be his max reaction time, if not slower, since he clearly wasn't able to react to it. But on the other hand, we have Sanguinius, who is blatantly moving at the speed of light, if not faster. It's stated in the Horus fight, Sangi was moving at the speed of light, whilst Horus was moving at the speed of darkness. Listen, I get that Otter was trying to be cool and all, but speed of darkness does not exist. Darkness is just the absence of light or radiation, I guess. Darkness does not create radiation, thus it has no speed. This is like saying Sanguinius was moving at the top speed of the Ferrari car going 300 km per hour, whilst Horus was moving at the top speed of the stationary object, aka car whilst it's parked. So basically Fulgrim's speed is 6000 km per hour, while Sanguinius' speed is 300,000 km per hour. I don't see how could Fulgrim put any fight in this situation. This would be like Sonic the Hedgehog fighting a literal normal hedgehog. Obviously, if we give this of an OP Primarch to the invasion force, Sanguinius can just teleport to Earth and in a couple of hours literally kill every single human being that's opposing them. So instead we shall be using some boring Primarch like Gilman for this scenario. So let's begin with the scenario and what the invasion force would do. Step 1 would be establish communication with the earthly nations whilst keeping your ship at as far a range as possible. See if anyone wants to join up with the Imperium and just gauge the interest, opinions opinions and reactions of different countries. Step 2 after that, tell them that if they join the Imperium, they will have higher technology, standards of living, and better security. Also try to learn as much as possible about different capabilities of earthly militaries. Tell them about Xenos and how they are a massive issue, and the best hope we have of survival is by sticking together. But don't mention the chaos, because if you do, the information is gonna spread like a wildfire across the internet and the occult practices are gonna 10x overnight. Then see who wants to join and who doesn't. Realistically speaking, totalitarian countries like China and North Korea would jump at the opportunity to have more centralized power whilst also being propped up and supported by a galaxy-wide empire. Totalitarian countries always fear regime changes, and having a massive power backer behind them there to make that impossible and only asking for taxes and loyalty in return would be incredibly appealing. Whilst on the other hand, Western liberal countries would be horrified at the proposition of what's essentially 1984 world. Also, leaders of Western countries also have a much more cartoonish outlook on life, that's basically good will always triumph over evil and march of progress is inevitable, you just gotta fight for it. So basically, in this war, the Western countries and liberal democracy led by USA would be on one side, whilst totalitarian states led by China and supported by the Astartes would be on the other. First thing Astartes would do is to blow up the satellites of unfriendly countries like USA, Great Britain, Germany, France, and so on, which in all honesty wouldn't matter all that much. USA has redundancies to keep its GPS guided munitions running even without satellites, and they would in all honesty just blow up a nuke in outer space to destroy any Chinese or Astarte affiliated satellites. For more explanation, watch my video about how to stop Tyranid invasion or just Google Starfish Prime. Now, we don't actually want an all-out war because a lot of people, workforce, would die and a lot of infrastructure would be reduced to rubble, so decapitation strikes are much more preferable. So you know, the leader of the free world, the Orange Man, has to go, by which I mean he has to be captured. Killing him would just make another guy the president and wouldn't really accomplish much. Now, how do you capture the most defended man in the world? Well, allegedly the most defended man in the world. I don't know what the Secret Service is smoking. Maybe the cocaine they found in the White House actually belonged to them and not Hunter Biden. Anyway, you might think that just drop podding into the Washington DC could do the job, but just no. DC is protected by Patriot systems that can intercept ICBMs, and I assure you, drop pods are not faster than ICBMs. So what can be done? Well, just use decoys. If the USA has 100 Patriot missiles, use 100 actual pods with Space Marines and 900 decoy pods made from welded metal that have the same radar signature as the real ones. Sure, there will still be losses, but hey, what can you do? If you capture the president and they still won't surrender, just threaten them with tying an asteroid to your ship and chucking it at Earth. If the Brits start talking about not surrendering and fighting you on the beaches, oceans and whatever else, just reply with "we don't intend to fight you at all" and chuck an asteroid directly at London. Trust me, nothing of value will be lost. If you're wondering why wouldn't you just park a battle barge in orbit and start bombing cities instead of chucking asteroids at them, it's simple. In orbit you are susceptible to nukes, and even though void shields are tough, they work by teleporting energy to the warp. Thus they are weaker to weapons that damage the entire surface of the shield, rather than concentrated blasts that just damage one bit. And you know, nukes do cover a lot of surface area, so yeah, a couple dozen of them could bring down battle barges' void shields. If you think that battle barge could intercept them, sure, but the decoy trick that the Astartes used can also be used by the other side as well. If none of this works and you really have to go into a conventional war, well, I already have videos on the topic of the best Astarte deployment and integration with the current military's chain of command, so if you're interested, visit those videos. Just remember that in those videos I was using the average estimates between the newer and the older war Astartes, so I did give them some positions in the combat roles. With weaker, newer war Astartes, they would lean much more into management and control rather than the frontline combat roles. Moving at 100 km per hour is fast, but it's still not fast enough to outrun a javelin. So in short, Astartes from first scenario would use diplomacy and optimal deployment of the battle barge, as well as the Astarte tactical genius to give them the edge at conquering Earth with as minimal damage as possible. I give them a 90% success rate. As long as they don't do anything stupid like lowering the battle barge into the lower orbit, they will most likely succeed. Now onto this scenario number 2, which is the older war Astartes just going all out, dropping to world and forcefully trying to subjugate the entirety of it. Let's pick Angron and the World Eaters for this scenario. As with the newer war Astartes, let's power scale these older ones as well. Movement speed should be subsonic, aka 1300 km per hour. For reference, Javelin moves at 500 km per hour, and although tank shells move at the speed of up to 3700 km per hour, I don't know of any tank that can track a target moving that fast, at least not on the ground. Their reaction timing is hypersonic, armor and AP are the same as in the newer war. Now, could an army of raging morons conquer Earth? Well, maybe. Let's be real, Angron is extremely aggressive and angry all the time. It's in the name, Angron. He would definitely deny any calls for diplomacy, put Conqueror in the lower orbit to assist with the drop pod assault and get it taken out in the process via 1000 nuclear explosions to the face. Drop pods might also get caught up in those explosions as well, losing at least 25% of them in the process. Next, Patriot systems and other anti-air systems are gonna cause even more losses, probably now reaching in the low 80% mark. Astartes are at their weakest when they are in the transportation vehicles, because they just can't fight in those. Okay, now that they are on the ground, it's 200 boys and Angron versus the world. Can they do it? Okay, first, sending any ground force against them is just plain suicide. They are moving so fast that there is no way that any ground force would be able to hit them. Best shot you have would be using large plane guided subsonic glide bombs. Just stick a glide wings on the Moab, put it on B-52 and guide it via high-res optical sensors to the target. Moabs should be able to create large enough areas of effect that they can consistently mortally wound Astartes via shockwaves causing organ ruptures and death. Or, you know, if they hit anywhere near an Astarte, just killing them outright. When it comes to Angron, I'm sorry to say this, but your only option is luring him into the populated city, and whilst he's butchering the population, just nuking him 30 times over, and then dropping another 10 just for good measure. I'd give Angron 25% chance of conquering Earth. Picking any other Primarch such as Perturabo or Magnus would definitely pump those numbers up. Okay, that would be it from me. If you like this video, smash like and subscribe, comment if you agree or disagree. Until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.